I met a gypsy.
Speaking of fumbling the bag,
Yeah.
what do you make of the KTM thing? We've been talking about it behind the scenes for a very long time.
It's interesting. It's something with dictators. If you look at dictators over the years, many of them were good in the beginning. But after a while,
This is such an Anton response.
after a while, when people are afraid to tell them when they're wrong, and they just hear that they're right all the time, they start to lose it. And I think it's a similar situation with KTM. I don't know Stefan Peter. I met him one time, so I cannot say that I know how he works. But I've met a lot of people that has worked with him and, let's say, the top management of KTM. And what I've heard is that it has changed a lot over the last few years, and that in the last few years, you couldn't call them with bad news. And I heard from so many people that after COVID, everyone understood the market is going to go down now. So forecasting for country managers, for local sales reps, they tried to reduce the forecasts because they understood it.
It's a bubble.
But they weren't allowed to. No, KTM, HQ, no, we're going to continue growing. We're going to grow another 20%. No, you can't do that. It was a bubble, man. People weren't working. They got free money. That's why they bought more bikes. That
can't be why.
It wasn't you,
That can't be why.
Exactly, right? So it's going to go back, but they didn't listen to that. So they kept on scaling production, make more bikes. And then I think to some extent, maybe they also fucked up a little bit the development of the bike.
Mm.
I think the design, I'm not sure what happened with the purple. Who wants an orange, white, and purple bike? What the fuck, man? Come on. Who approved that? But then also just producing more and more bikes. And why didn't they see that those bikes were not selling? I mean, surely they must be monitoring sell-through from their dealers, right? They must be. I mean, we see that live. We know exactly how many bikes our dealers sell every single day. But they kept on producing. So, I mean, in the end, why are they going bankrupt? Well, they built up 2 years worth of stock between themselves and their dealers. In the end, they offered some dealers 1.5 year of credit term. Just take more bikes. You can pay in 1.5 year. How can you not realize that's a really, really bad idea? This is not good. At what point do you realize that you have to pull the handbrake? Well, I mean, way too late. And all the signs were there. I think everyone, even from the outside, could see the signs.
Yeah. We had a conversation about it. I don't even know how, over a year ago.
Yeah.
And all the financials are public.
Yeah.
So it's you can even do self-auditing.
Yeah. So I think they got a bit high on themselves. They did so good during COVID, and they felt probably that let's keep on rocking, man.
Mm.
But they didn't keep their ears to the rail. And the reason that they are, I mean, maybe not, in risk of going bankrupt, let's see what happens, is that they built up too much stock. If they wouldn't have done that, it would have been fine, And then they invested so heavily in stuff that you can, argue does it make sense to spend that much money on MotoGP? Is that really building so much sales for you?
Or is it make sense to build a $70 million office in Temecula, California?
Sure. And I think they spent even more in Austria on what they built there. And did you have to buy MV Agusta? Was that really necessary too? So it's so easy to sit at the sideline and tell what someone is doing wrong. And and you can easily do that for sure to Stark and to me as well, and say, this guy is a fucking idiot. Because there are a million things that I could do better too, but I think they really fucked up not pulling the handbrake on production earlier. When you have to offer your dealers 1 year credit to buy more bikes, how can you not realize this is not a healthy situation?
Mm.
And then I know I've heard that in some cases even going to 1.5 year. A normal business, you give someone 30 days credit.
Yeah, 3 months max.
Yeah, sure. And I think in general, the motocross industry, they're not the only ones giving ridiculous long credit lines, which is dangerous. Like, it's dangerous for everyone. Like, dealers have such a huge debt to their suppliers. Like, their suppliers could kill them. It's not a good thing.
Yeah, it's not a good model to operate off of.
Right? Why do you have more than 2 months worth of stock of dirt bikes? Why do you have to have 50 of the same 450 in stock? What's the reason? Like, you're not going to sell 50 in a day. That's not going to happen. So I think it's just an unhealthy situation. And it's hard to say why they ended up there, but it's clear to see what happened. And that's for sure now the reason as well that he's getting fired. And let's see what happens, who saves them, and at which terms. I'm sure it's going to be pretty damn brutal.
Yeah, that was kind of the thing that I was thinking is like they'll probably get saved.
Yeah.
But the terms of getting saved is going to be pretty rough.
Yeah.
Like, they're not keeping 51% of that company, I would imagine,
Yeah, for sure not.
Which is sad. And I wonder too, like, because companies have a culture, right?
Yeah.
And I wonder if, like, KTM was just, when I was a kid, it was like, kick the mother, keep taking money. Like, it was just there was such a connotation around that brand, and they've come from nowhere.
Yeah.
Nothing. They were the bottom of the bottom, and the Japanese manufacturers were just superior in every single way until they weren't. And they grinded and grinded to get to the point of being at the pinnacle of the industry. And it's like hubris killed that company. And it seems like culturally there was a cultural sense of ego that also killed that company.
But it also went bankrupt 3 times in 21 years, so like, why didn't you learn first or second time? And I don't know about the first and second time. I don't have no idea what happened then. But like, it's also not normal to go bankrupt every seventh year.
Yeah, and I'm sure. I mean, I'm asking this because I look at people that do a similar job to me, and I'm like, one of my little guilty pleasures is like the downfall of this guy and the downfall of this guy, and I'm just like, fuck, I can see myself in that guy. Like, I can see how he made that. Like, I can see why. And it's like, I think that, as someone in your position, there's probably a lot to learn from just seeing the way that it transpired.
Sure. And I mean, we have also made a lot of mistakes.
If you enjoyed this content, please like and subscribe. And to listen to the full 3-hour podcast, search Gypsy Tales in your favorite podcast platform or click the link in the description below. Gypsy Gang.